Hey, Coop. Hey, good job. What's this?
So I'm just doing a little voiceover here because I wasn't explaining what we were working on from the get-go, but we're introducing food luring here in his first training session. Essentially, food luring is where we have our puppy learn to follow our hand so that we can guide them into different positions.
Get him following that piece of food.
It should essentially look like a magnet to your puppy's nose, and this is really helpful during socialization, for example, when we're trying to guide puppies over different obstacles and different surfaces, or for example, when we're doing polite greetings and we want to set the puppy up for success and we want to angle their body specifically so they're not inclined to jump. So lots of different uses for food luring.
Good. Good. Perfect. You'll start to hear me using the word good. That's one of our markers, and that's another lesson in week 1. We have 4 markers that we use in this program, and good is an example of our good reward marker. That's the word or sound we're going to use when we like what he's doing, and we want him to keep doing that. So good tells the dog, hey, that's the right behavior. You're right on track, but it shouldn't end the behavior, and we're going to talk about that. So the dog should keep going when they hear that word. And so we're just going to teach him what that means by pairing what he's doing with what he's hearing. So right now he doesn't necessarily know exactly what good means. He probably has a really good association with that word because we've paired it with food, but it doesn't quite have the meaning that we want it to have just yet. Great, so he's getting a lot better at following that food. Good. Yes, good job. Perfect. So I'm going to see if I can lure him up onto this bed now. Good job. Good job. Okay. Nice. And that's going to be another one of our markers that we're introducing. We use something like the word okay or break or done to indicate that the dog is done with an exercise. Again, he's not going to know what that means just yet, but I can start applying it as he's doing it. And so the release word, in this case, I'm just starting to use the word okay, is going to release him from behaviors. So eventually he's going to learn this behavior as place. And while he's doing the behavior, we can use the good reward marker, good, and feed him, good. And then eventually when we're ready for him to be done with this exercise, we would say, okay, and invite him off the bed. So we've introduced food luring. That can be part of your homework for week 1, is just getting him really confident and pushing into that hand. So he's doing that really well while I'm sitting down. So the next thing I can try is having him follow this piece of food while I'm standing. Good. Hello. Good job. So I want to be able to move him left and right. And I also want to be able to move him backwards. So if I were to kind of take a lunge backwards, good. Eventually we'll use that to teach heel. So having him being able to follow that food is going to be super important, and he's already really great at that. This is a very handy skill for puppies because we're going to use it when he's distracted. We're going to use it heavily to introduce new behaviors. He's 5 months old, so it's most likely he knows a lot of behaviors already, but it's going to be helpful like when we do polite greetings, for instance. It's just a helpful way to be able to maneuver your dog's body physically and get them into a position that we want them. Is that a very rewarding behavior already? Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is introduce the clicker. This can be done with his meals, ideally. So instead of feeding him out of a bowl for breakfast and dinner, you would take his ration of food and practice doing this exercise. You may have to put your other dog away. That can be tricky sometimes with multiple dogs, but Cooper's going to definitely need one-on-one training time. And so we'll have to manage our time with both dogs at first. Eventually you can train and do training sessions with both dogs present and teach them to respond to their name so that both dogs aren't coming in for rewards or getting released from behaviors at the same time. So that's something that we can work on eventually. What a nice boy. He's being very patient. So when we introduce the clicker, what we're basically looking to create is a conditioned response or an instinctual response to the sound of the clicker. If you've used clickers before, this could be somewhat familiar, but we do tend to take it like a step further by looking at the scientific reason why a clicker is helpful. And that's because it creates this salient sound. It's a sound that's different from everything else that he hears. And when we pair it with food from us, it creates a very conditioned response, kind of similar to Pavlov's dogs. And so the caveat to, Pavlov's dogs is that if you were to ask them when Pavlov rings his bell, why do you drool? And the dogs would say, if they could, I don't know. I don't have any control over that response. And that's what we're looking to create here. And instead of having Cooper drool when he hears the clicker, what we're actually trying to create is the response of running over to us to get food. That will help interrupt behaviors for sure, because it's something that's going to like knee jerk happen. It's going to happen without him choosing to. And so that will automatically kind of interrupt him from behaviors and get us a chance to reward him before he makes a mistake. So for instance, if we wanted to use our clicker to interrupt him before he jumps on somebody while he's greeting them, that's helpful. It also helps us create stronger obedience with recalls or coming when called. So I'm going to practice tossing this piece of food out. There you go. Oh, I didn't click. So what we're going to do, and we'll say like, pretend I have his bowl of food, because ideally we want to get lots and lots of reps of this in. I'm going to toss a piece out just to create some distance between us. I'm going to wait for him to be done chewing. I'm going to click and I'm going to present a whole handful of his meal from me. And I can even kind of back up to kind of suck him into me. So we want him to be running over to us. So at first, if I click, if he's too distracted, he's not going to respond. What he's really responding to is the presentation of food from me. And then he happens to hear the clicker as well. Eventually, he's going to pair the two. So what I want to make sure is I toss this piece of food out, wait for him to be done chewing. I'm going to click and present a whole handful from me. Num, 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 num. Good job. And then we repeat. Great job. So the clicker actually has many, 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 many functions. We talked about a couple. Another great reason we use the clicker, you're faster than me. Perfect. And we can do a couple of reps where we just click and feed. Am I still on camera? There we go. Perfect. And so we can do that as well. I would practice this at first in a relatively low key area like your hallway, a kitchen, living room. Good job. Nice. But another function that this clicker will have is anything that we pair the clicker with will take on the function. So we will start to pair leash pressure with the clicker so that instead of continuing to pull into pressure, the dog learns to yield, and we'll talk about that exercise. We also can pair it with things that are somewhat scary, or if he's a little bit nervous about something, if we pair the clicker with it in a good setup, you can actually have the dog change their feelings about that thing. So if we have a well-timed clicker and it's very well conditioned, we can change how he feels about things using the clicker. So that's really, really, really helpful for puppies, because our major goal with puppies at this age and our main concern, is socialization. Getting him to be the most confident version of himself and introducing him to as many situations, surfaces, things, people, dogs as we can in a positive way. And that's important, because it's not just a numbers game with socialization. We want to make sure that it's a positive experience. So he's doing really great. I would say for homework, see if you can what we call charge the clicker. And so basically do this exercise where we're pairing food with the clicker so that he's running over to us after he hears the clicker. Oh, thank you. Good job. Very good. And then we can start to practice food luring as well. There you go. Go check that out. Go check that out. What do you think? Did you miss it? Oh, you gotta be quicker than that. I got it. Here you go. Perfect. And then food luring. Got one more piece of food here. Good. We can start to use a food lure into down. See if he knows. Yeah, he's been practicing down. That's great. We're going to put some advancements on that. That looks like he started off practicing that pretty good. Good job. All right, so he's doing great. Good job, Coop.